I don't know. Some people say he's a gubernatorial candidate. That was news to me.
The Dan York State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Taco Comfort Solutions.
You know, I've long said that Central Falls has literally been blessed by a young man who has grown in the office as mayor of Central Falls, and I think that town, you know, subtly gets a lot less chiding. I don't know if you've noticed that over the course of the last 10 years or so. Now listen, I'm just passing by Rhode Island. It'll be 19 years. It'll be on the radio next week. So I don't know. Can you at least give me a visitor's pass for that? And maybe I can shed the carpetbagger role a little bit. But you know, back when I first came here, it was every week I heard a joke about Central Falls. Seriously, and you don't hear it much anymore. And I think there are tangible reasons for that. And it'll be fun to discuss that. But this mayor is not just somebody who worries about his own community. He's been engaged in some partnership conversation with, I think, a strong mezzanine level of government, the mayors all across this state, who I think have gotten together and found some common ground and provided a formidable role when it comes to the progress of Rhode Island. This is the Tuesday show. Welcome in. Nice to have you. The holiday week is always kind of funky for us. We did not tape this program today, Tuesday. We taped it yesterday, so all heck could have broken loose between yesterday at 1:30 when we taped this broadcast and now. But it gives me a chance to forget some of the news of the day and talk about some of the issues that are confronting both Central Falls and the state. So we will welcome James Diossa in here with a headline. Rhode Island Mayor's rally to make toy maker Hasbro, or to keep toy maker Hasbro in the area. You signed on, welcome by the way, good to see you. You signed on to Don Grebian's declaration SOS. You didn't make the press conference for logistics reasons, I'm told, but you support him in this cry, literally, to say, help us,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Tell me why.
I think that, you know, the mayor has done an extraordinary job of bringing the mayors together on important issues. I think the mayor has shown a lot of leadership with the Memorial Hospital closing, the Pawtucket Red Sox leaving, and you know, his call of action about Hasbro is one that I think he's learned from those two experiences.
Well, he may have shown leadership, and I agree with you. I mean, I haven't seen a guy fight as hard for something and fail as Don Grebian did. But it goes to show you, you just can't fight the battle all by yourself.
Correct. Correct.
Right.
And he was standing up for his community, and I think that's what he's doing now. Hasbro is a big company that plays a big role in Pawtucket. I think that he's just making sure that everyone's informed and alarmed that this is a potential, and that's why I stand by him, because I know that whatever impacts Pawtucket impacts Central Falls and the Blackstone Valley. And more importantly, with everything that's going on, a lot of good, by the way, we have to bring everyone together and say, look, the Blackstone Valley is a place where we need to look out, we need to invest, we have to plan, etc. Because, you know, the train station is coming. We've broken ground on that. So there's going to be a lot of activity in the next few years. I think that continuing to support businesses that exist and develop new business is important.
So we'll talk about the train station and economic development going forward in a minute. What specifically is the Hasbro worry? What's the data? Do you have any handle on the number of employees that live in Central Falls that are at Hasbro? You know, what's the immediate impact to Central Falls?
So I don't have the immediate impact data.
But you've got employees that work at Hasbro in Central Falls.
And they also have a facility in Central Falls.
Right.
It's not a very active one, but they have.
And they do what there?
They do I believe they do some commercials and recording.
The production facility.
Production facility. So they have folks who still work out of that facility. So we have obviously a concern. because we don't want a vacant building on Broad Street, by the way. So we're joining into the call for action that we want our state leaders to help us figure out a solution of how to meet the needs that Hasbro may need.
So let's go backwards. Memorial Hospital is its own complicated dilemma. There's so many moving parts to that particular conversation. The Paul Sox is, you know, I can't opine any more than I have about how this is the worst fall down of leadership that I've seen in this state, where the Speaker, the Senate President, the Governor, the principals of the Paw Sox never all got in the same room. Aren't you aghast over that? I mean, that's not something that was in your direct negotiation domain, but you know, you and the other mayors were sitting there, you know, outside the door trying to cheerlead this thing home. That's disgraceful.
So I think that's another level to highlight how important the mayors have played a critical role. They all know that when they stand together, they get more things done. And I'm honored to be part of this group of mayors that have shown camaraderie throughout many issues and have become very involved and understand that we're all in this together and that we're on the front line. So every issue, whether it's you know, with a hospital closing or economic development, it's not, we're very small. It impacts all at a certain level.
Tell me about Central Falls itself. You know, I opined at the beginning that I think there's a whole lot less giggling over the city. Do you find that to be true?
I think so. I think that there's many reasons why. I think that you'll find a city now that is very clean. It's safe. New data shows that violent crime is down almost 35%.
How and why?
I think that our police department has been very proactive. They have really embraced community policing, meaning engaging, building relationships. I think that the leadership that our police chief has shown, Colonel Mendonça, who's also the president of the Police Chief Association, has been very keen and aware of what needs to get done to build these relationships, and which in return favors us. I think that you'll see late next year Rhode Island College opening up a workforce development center in Central Falls.
At the Dexter Credit Union building? Navigant Credit Union building, correct?
Early next year, 2019, you'll see a $15 million new health facility that will have urgent care, primary care, mental health, dental work. This will bring a lot of new jobs into the area. And I think overall, I think it's just, you know, my staff, my directors have done a good job of staying focused on the things that we need to focus on.
Yeah, it seems to me that in some ways, my perspective on Central Falls is, I think you've stopped the bleeding. I mean, when I say bleeding, the reputational damage, the bias, a lot of which I think is latent bigotry, and we'll talk about that coming up in the next couple of segments. So I don't feel Central Falls being the butt of any jokes anymore, and some of what you've explained, I think, adds to that. But it seems to me that you're in a place right now where that couldn't go backwards or really accelerate forward. That you could actually develop, you know, a little Puerto Rico or a little Spain or a little Colombia or whatever, like Little Italy or Chinatown type of thing. You know, that's what I'm talking about, where you embrace the ethnicity and the culture. And you and I have talked about this before, but I haven't seen a lot of growth of that that concept either on the ground or marketing that concept. You follow me?
Yes.
So do you agree that you're kind of in that place where you've kind of cleaned up what needed to be cleaned up in terms of reputation and reality, and now you can explode, or just?
Yeah, and I think that having partnerships with Rhode Island College, I think the train station will bring people and, you know, help us have access to the Boston market, et cetera.
You think residential property and value is going to increase significantly with that train station?
I think so.
But do you have the plan? And the Rhode Island College thing is really cool. I've seen the drawings. It's going to be really, really neat. We're going to spend some time on that when it comes closer to bearing fruition. But what's the cool thing that Central Falls is going to be known for? Is there a cool thing that it'll be known for?
I think you highlighted that. You know, the diversity and ethnicity, the restaurants. I think.
But there's no Federal Hill identifying feeling.
And it's tougher because, you know, with Federal Hill,
it's geographic.
Correct, and it's you know, pretty Italian based. You know, with the Latino community, it's very diverse. You have Central America, the Caribbean, you have South America. So it's tough to hone in on one specific ethnicity group. But I think that if you go down Dexter Street, you literally can taste.
It's busy.
Yeah. And you can taste different foods from different countries without even having to travel to the different countries. And I think that
it still could be more. It could be presented in a much more marketable fashion, though.
Yeah.
Seems to me that when you go down there, it's like, wow, everything's busy. Store shops are open. Gee, I never stopped in there to eat. But it doesn't present.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So
did you guys talk about that?
So we've thrown around concepts for Dexter Street. I know that Broad Street, they have an organization that overviews the Pawtucket portion, Cumberland, and Central Falls. This is going to have a major road upgrade with sidewalks and roads, and there is an organization there that's looking to develop, you know, this theme around Broad Street. But we got to do that for Dexter Street as well.
Yeah. All right. When we come back, there's also some battles that the mayor has joined. We'll talk about that when we come back. Stay with us. And then there's the issues of immigration and sanctuary and the real definitions about them.
Providence and Central Falls filing a federal lawsuit against U.S. Attorney General Jeff Sessions and the Department of Justice.
What the Department of Justice is asking us to do is not justice. It goes against everything that we stand for as a city.
The suit seeks relief from new immigration-related mandates for recipients of federal police grants, saying the rules put the cities in an untenable position, except unlawful and unconstitutional conditions, or forfeit burn JAG funding.
This attempt by the federal government to target undocumented immigrants hurts local law enforcement's ability to gather witnesses and investigate more serious crimes.
Under a recent court ruling, cities only have until tomorrow to tell the federal government they're in compliance with these new rules or forfeit the money.
We filed before the deadline, so we believe we'll get direction from the federal court so we don't lose that money going forward.
So that was back in August. You know, the shirt sleeves make me drool. You know, just. I think winter's coming too fast, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Did you get a lot of snow in Central Falls?
We did.
You did?
Yeah, it was toughest part of the job.
You had to hit the budget early.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but, you know, you never know.
Yeah.
How did that turn out with the deadline and the filing and the like? Is it still a limbo issue for you?
It is, but we've received information that we can submit, so we've done so. For the next year's burn JAG grant, but still the point we were trying to make more importantly is, like, you know, these new rules in the fourth quarter before you submit to try to change in communities like ours, it's very difficult to handcuff us like that.
And the promises and the demands that are in place, the demand from the federal government, from the Trump administration, and what you're requested to do is simply what? In order to be able to continue to get these federal funds?
Yeah, to get these federal funding.
But what do they want you to do?
They want us
what
to,
changes would you have to make?
So they want us to, so they want us to, every time we arrest someone who's undocumented, that we call ICE right away. They pretty much asking us to deputize our police department to be ICE agents, and you know how difficult it is to build a relationship with people in our community. It's important to us that there's safety for everyone in the community, and if someone's afraid of calling the police department to report a crime, it just doesn't create a good environment.
Yeah, listen, this is the age-old rub, whether it's a city of just south of 20,000 in Central Falls, and it's a city because it's 1.2 square miles. So think about Think about it. You feel like you're in the city in Central Falls, even though it's in and out in a minute.
Yes.
But Pawtucket and certainly Providence and Woonsocket and other urban areas, but every major urban area in the country is going through this conflict, which is how do we continue to move crime stats down, and they are across the board, with community policing, with relationships, and keep everybody who is there, happy with a quality of life, and turn ourselves into a police force that really is more of a federal legislative debacle problem than it is, right? It's not like you got a big sign saying, listen, if you're illegal, please come here. But it's a culturally complicated conversation, and it doesn't seem that nuance is met with any understanding in Washington.
And Central Falls has been such a community built by immigrants, French Canadians, the Irish, Syrians, now the Latinos. So I'm sure that each generation has dealt with a level of building relationships and trying to make sure that everyone feels safe.
And of course, the arguments are, well, the French came here legitimately, the Italians and the Irish came here legitimately, and we have a Hispanic population that in part has not come here legitimately. And I think that's a legitimate federal equation that needs to finally be resolved, but you can't resolve it from the bottom up.
Oh, correct.
You can't do it.
You can't.
It's crazy. We should talk about this notion of sanctuary city. Do you call Central Falls a sanctuary city?
Look, what we say is this, and it's very clear. If you commit a serious crime, you're to be dealt with the legal system, and if the legal system encompasses immigration, that's all part of you committing the crime, right? But if it's a violation of a stop sign or speeding, we're not gonna, if it merits us bringing you in for booking, we're not going to keep you there longer than what the process takes for a person to be booked. That's all.
So you avoided the word. So Alorza can't say sanctuary enough.
Yeah.
He can't say it enough. You're sitting there with him with a like-minded legal issue with the feds, but you're more careful.
So no, because it's what we've said. What we said is what I just stated, and he
sat there in this chair before the election. Oh, we're proud to be a sanctuary city. Providence is
yeah.
You're more tempered.
Yeah, I think we're a friendly community to immigrants. We're a friendly community to our residents if they're undocumented. We don't pick up your trash and say, are you here legally or not legally, or we don't sort people out, because we treat everyone the same in our residence. We're a welcoming community. That's what I call it.
Why have you avoided the word?
I can call it a sanctuary city.
I'm not trying to dig you.
No.
I'm just trying to. I respect the way you've gone after this. I think Alorza and Fung, for instance, in the campaign season, both have almost 100% duplication of policing behavior. And I think yours is, I think Chief Mandaka would tell me the same thing about Central Falls processing, right? So Central Falls, Providence, Cranston as 3 cities probably do almost exactly the same thing. The only thing that Alan Fung did was he filled out the form and said, yeah, I'm with the federal government on this. Yeah. Fung screaming, no sanctuary in Cranston. Alorza screaming sanctuary in Cranston. You aren't screaming anything.
And I think if you put 5 people right now in the room and ask them what sanctuary city means, I think there's many definitions, and that's why I try to break it down to the simplest terms of what I just said. We respect everyone that lives in our community. We don't categorize people in our community based on status. If you commit a serious crime, that's what our police there is.
ICE is going to find out if you're here illegally and you commit a serious crime. You're going to get processed.
Exactly.
You could be deported.
But if you
we're not going to harbor serious criminals.
Exactly. So
period.
If you're speeding or didn't stop completely, we don't.
Well, I just think it's good discipline on your part. I'm not trying to draw you into a criticism. But do you find it fascinating that the word sanctuary has become a political weapon on both sides?
Yeah, I just, I've learned so much on this job, and talking to people in my community, I know how sensitive this issue is, and I'm just there to do a best job to bring up the quality of life, make people's experience in Central Falls greater, and that's why I just stick to what I know, which are the facts of how we deal with it.
All right. So what's he going to do in 2 years? Next. And so I remind you that we recorded the show yesterday afternoon for this Tuesday evening. I just looked at my phone just before production time and caught a headline from the Providence Journal forecasting gubernatorial candidates for 2020. I mean, they admit that the story is ridiculous. It's kind of like, this is ridiculous that we're writing the story about gubernatorial candidates in 4 years. We just got over an election, but what the hell? Yeah, blah, 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 blah. And your name got thrown in there. What's that all about?
I'm flattered, and it's, it's interesting to be mentioned with other great leaders around the state, but 4 years is a long time, and I still have 2 years left, and based on our conversations, I still have a lot of work to do in Central Falls, and
You're term limited, though.
Yeah, I'm term limited in 2020, so there's a gap of 2 years.
Well, I'm not about changing charters and statutes for individuals, but I have actually said a couple of times that it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if somehow that got extended. I'm hoping you've built a bench of have you built a bench?
Yes. If you look at our city council, there's folks on the council that are young, that come from different backgrounds. If you look at our boards, I make it a point to make it very diverse in age and in background, so that those folks on the board potentially might wake up one day and say, hey, look, I want to run for city council, state rep. At least, there's an engaged population that's looking at office someday. So I think we've done a good job.
All right, well, we can do a postmortem on your career in 2 years at Central Falls. It's way too early to do that, but give me, we only have 30 seconds anyway, give me an executive summary of what the first 6 years or so has been. Has it been 6 years?
Yeah, 6 years.
The 2 4-year terms, right?
Yeah.
What has the 6 years in Central Falls and leadership there taught you?
So, the first year, the thing is, it was unique, and we just came out.
You just came out of bankruptcy. The place was completely destroyed.
Dealing with the state,
right?
Keeping the public informed. But I think what's brought
not a bad place to start, right?
And what's brought me along is, I really focused on 5 pillars and just stuck to it. Crime, safety, education, cleanliness, infrastructure, and just, talking about Central Falls everywhere I go.
Is it fair to say back to the basics in a way?
Yeah, back to the basics.
Yeah, good to see you.
Yeah,
appreciate the good work. All right, final word and we come back. Stay with us. All right, so tomorrow night is going to be a little bit of a high wire act, literally, because we're going to have to show some of those photos of the proposed pedestrian and bike paths on the Pell Bridge, Jamestown Bridge, and you've got to be kidding me. The Mount Hope Bridge, have you detected that I'm just not that big a bridge guy? But it's interesting, and we'll talk to the authority about that tomorrow. Radio at 3 on WPRO, getting close. Get everything ready. Thanksgiving's coming.